Go. Okay. Okay, just waiting for a few people to join us. Okay. Who's that? Just going to wait for a few people to join us and then we'll get going. Sorry, bear with me for just a second. We're just going to wait for a few people to join us. And then we will get started. Okay. There we go. Almost there. So who we got here? Okay, so admin, Dave Jones. Right, let me make Dave. Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes, I can, sir. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I was just trying to deal with this bleeding tech.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been getting into quite a bit of trouble, unfortunately. I don't know why, but it keeps tripping. So anyway, we're here now.
We are
I'll
indeed.
have 2 or 3 other people join us in a second. So we're just going to get started. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yes, I can. You're a little bit echoey, but I've got you good enough.
I see. Is it better now?
Not discernibly.
No. Okay. Let me just change into another pair of headphones. That should help, hopefully. How's that?
And that's a little bit better, yes.
That's a little bit better. Okay. Well, there's a few people say, I don't know why, but they're saying they can't join this. So I'm just quickly going to share the link with them, if that's okay.
Of course.
And then we'll get started in a second. Where are we? Okay. Oh boy. Right, just a second. Who we got waiting? We've got Jorgen waiting. And okay, right. So I need to make Jorgen a presenter, and I also need to make you a presenter because I've just realized you're not. Okay. Can you hear me, Jorgen? Jorgen, can you hear me? By the way, if you wouldn't mind closing your camera, please, so we keep it audio only. That would be great. And we should have 2 other people join us soon, hopefully. Let's see. So we've got Visar. Right. Well, I've just clicked admit Visar, so you should be through. Who else is it? Oh, boy. Okay. Can you hear me now, Jorgen? Right. So, Jorgen, you're muted and your video is on. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself just to see that it works and turning your camera off, please, that would be great. I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear Jorgen?
I can't. No.
No. Sorry,
I can see him.
Us? Yeah, I can. Sorry, hear him rather. I meant.
Hey guys.
No.
Hi, Visar. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Not sure what happened there, but I was clicking the link and I think going to a different room or something.
That is weird. That is very weird. Okay, so we've got Visar, we've got Dave, Jorgen's not. Jorgen, you might want to try and leave the call and then click on that link I sent you earlier, that I sent it in the LinkedIn app. And we've got Mike as well. Where is Mike? Click an add bit. So let's see if we can get through to that. Where is Mike? Mike, let me make him a presenter as well. All right, can you hear us, Mike? That's right. Jorgen, you're still muted and with your camera on. So if you can turn your camera off, please. Perfect. And Mike, can you hear us? Yes, all good. Would you like to just test that your mic works, your microphone works rather? Mike? Okay, so Dave and Visara are working. Mike, is your microphone working? How is your audio? Mike Adams, can you hear us? Jorgen, I think you're audible now, aren't you?
Yes, I can hear you well, and I hope you can
At
hear me as well.
At last, yes,
you.
we can. Okay, Mike Adams, can you hear us, buddy?
Anton, I think I couldn't unmute myself either, and I think that's what Mike is saying in the chat. He cannot unmute himself. I think as admin, you can do it.
Yeah. I had to log off and log in again in order to make it work. So maybe that's the issue.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you all hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
And
Yes, I can hear you.
Oof, boy, only took 10 minutes. Right, here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 143rd session. We've been doing these for 4 years now, and the idea is quite simple. We're here to help startups like yourselves with whatever questions you may have in terms of growing your business to the next stage. Whether you want to know perhaps about user acquisition or client acquisition or vendor or partner acquisition or sales, marketing, advertising, branding, and all that jazz, or perhaps some growth hacks, whatever it may be, this is the place to be. And seriously, there are no wrong or right questions for that matter. The idea is quite simple. We're here to help startups like yourselves with whatever questions you may have in terms of growing that business of yours from 0 to hero. Now, in terms of how we do that, we are going to go with some quick introductions from the amazing panelists that we've got for you today. And then after that, they'll give us their biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech. And once we've done that, then we will go through some quick questions that you may have in terms of how to grow your business. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top 3 reasons for that are 1, market fit, 2, running out of money, and 3, not having the right people. But guess what? When it comes down to it, it's really about your ability to sell enough of your product or service in order to survive. And hopefully, this is what our team will be able to help you with today. And just a reminder to those of you that are on the live streams, by the way, we are unable to monitor your questions there, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. So please, if you do want to join us and if you've got questions, join us here on Microsoft Teams. The quickest way to get to this is via our website, startuptoscaleup.club. And then you basically find today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 143. You click join. It's a quick registration that gets you to our, well, it will get you an email rather to your, you'll get a link to your email, and through that link, you can join us here. Now, for those of you that haven't got questions on growth, but they're on other matters, please save them for the other events that we run. On Mondays, it's talent. On Tuesdays, it's product and tech. On Wednesdays, as you can see today, it's growth. And on Thursdays, it's fundraising. And the second Friday of each month, it's UK startup law. And the third Friday of each month, it's UK startup finances. Now, without further ado, some quick introductions, and then we'll take it from there. My name's Anton Kohl. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups. Normally, right after they get investment, I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some other work, growth advisory, mainly with a few other startups and some accelerators. And lately, I've been helping some angels and family offices with their due diligence and their assessment. So perhaps today what we can do is we can start with Dave, then we'll go to Jorgen, then we'll go to Visar, and then we'll go to Mike. Your introductions, please, gentlemen.
Hi, Anton, and hi, everyone. My name's Dave Jones, and I've spent 25 years or so working in and around B2B technology companies. And I've spent a lot of that time helping tech startups and established tech companies really navigate their growth journeys, right? These days, I'm a fractional chief marketing officer and a marketing consultant, and I typically work with growth stage businesses to really help them develop clear, practical go-to-market strategies. And honestly, I love nothing more really than helping companies move from technical product innovation to market leadership, and really helping them find that balance between technical brilliance and something that customers actually understand and want. And of course, I'm thrilled to be here today.
Thank you very much, Mike. I believe the next one was Jorgen. No,
Yes.
sorry, not Mike, Dave, then Jorgen, then Visar, then Mike. My bad. Go ahead, Jorgen.
Okay, my turn. Yes, my name is Jörgen Krigsman. I'm the founder of Sales-Led Growth. I've been helping plus 10 different startups from establishing their product market fit to scaling their businesses. And my specialty is both related to strategy, go-to-market strategy within sales-led growth, and also execution, which I see that a lot of startup fails in the execution phase. You don't emphasize that enough. And I have been running companies from like 0 to over 240 million in revenue within 3 years period. So I'm quite familiar with the challenges that these companies faces in the early stage.
Thank you very much, Jorgen. Visar?
Hey everyone, I'm Visar. I am one of the founders, and I run a marketing company called Voiced Creative. It specializes in video games marketing. We are roughly about 80 or 90 people, with the majority of the team based out of UK. About 2 or 3 years ago, we've set up in Tokyo as well, and more recently Manila, actually. We only do video games, but in the past we've worked on other verticals. Been going since 2006, and my specialty, I guess, is, or what I really like to focus on, is creating the right organizational culture as the core on top of which all the business sort of functions sit. I do some investing on the side as well. I'm part of a VC as an LP, and I love the startup scene. You know, I find it incredibly interesting and exciting, and that's why I've been joining these chats with Anton, and looking forward to hearing what's up today.
Thank you very much, Visar. And last but not least, Mike, please. Mike, can you hear us? I don't know what's happened to Mike now. That's not good. Mike, let's see what's... hi, Anton, I still can't unmute. Can you please enable? I thought I have, but let me give it a try again, Mike. That is very strange indeed. Okay. Tell you what, Mike, I'm going to make you an attendee and then make you a presenter again. Hopefully that helps, because you are already a presenter. Okay, so allow Mike, and now make a presenter. All right. Do you want to try it now, Mike? Because now you have just you did even before, but you have all the credentials to speak. So maybe because of I have no idea whatever you're using in terms of the platform, but normally it shouldn't be a problem. If you want to try and leave the room and come back again, Mike, hopefully that would help. In the meantime, if our team here wouldn't mind giving us what are your biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage growth? If you can come up with one do and one don't and not the same, please, that would be great. Perhaps we can start with Visar, then Dave, and then Jorgen, please. And Mike, if you would like to leave the conversation and then come back again, hopefully that would work.
I think a do would be to find mentors early on in the journey, to avoid you making time-consuming, which equals costly mistakes. At the same time, which I guess anyone that's here, they're kind of doing that already to a degree. And the don't would be, don't try and do too much. We're a very excitable bunch, entrepreneurs. We love to do everything at the same time and then some. But try and pick your battles, and so don't try and do too much at the start. Focus on things, on the right things, and prioritize accordingly.
I think that's great advice from Visser, and he actually pinched a couple of the things that I was going to say. I think for me, the do, get very, very clear on what it is you're actually delivering or providing to your customers. If you don't do that very quickly, then you end up wasting a lot of time, which sort of leads me on to the don't. Don't think that all customers are equal and that you have to service everybody that wants to do business with you. Not all customers are equal. Some will take more time and effort than others. Some will be profitable, some won't. So very quickly get an idea of which are good and which aren't good.
Yes, I think that you have to be very clear to involve your customers at an early stage. That is really, really important to understand. Even if you have a view of your solution, that is not the same view that your customer have on your solution. And you have to get that joint view of your value proposition at an early stage. So I would say that that is one of the most important things to clear out in the early beginning. and then try to develop your MVP as early as possible and not try to tailor the product at an early stage. I've seen a lot of startups failing in that phase where they try to tailor the solution for every customer that they think have an use of their product. So that is the two do's and don'ts that I would focus on.
All right. Well, thank you very much to all three of you. Hopefully, Mike will be able to come in and be able to talk. But nevertheless, a quick reminder to those of you that are following this via the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. Actually, I've just realized I think we didn't manage to go live on Instagram, but I can see we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Just a reminder that we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you do want to ask our team, you'd have to join us here live on Microsoft Teams. There should be links to this call on all of those live streams, but if for any reason you can't access it, simply go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club. Find today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 143. You'll then be able to click join. It's a quick registration that gets you a link to your email, and through that link you can join us here live. It's audio only, which means you can join from anywhere, doing whatever you may be doing, and there are no wrong questions. Today's questions are purely on growing your business to the next stage, so that could be on perhaps user acquisition, client acquisition, vendor acquisition, partner acquisition, sales, marketing, branding, advertising, growth hacks, or go to market, and all that jazz. There literally are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. Now, on the other hand, if your questions are on other matters, please save them for the other events we run. Mondays, it's talent. Tuesdays, product and tech. Wednesdays, growth, and Thursdays, fundraising. Second Friday of the month, it's UK startup law, and third Friday of the month, it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startuptoscaleup.club. And actually, when you go to our site, there's a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of the site. You might want to join our community there on WhatsApp. It's groups of founders, investors, and operators. We're only going to be here for the next 36 minutes, so I'd advise you don't leave it for last minute to come and ask questions, because time does run out faster than we'd like to. Nevertheless, we'll go with some questions that were sent in to us. So this is a meal delivery subscription for special diets. We're based in Leeds at the moment at seed stage. The situation we have is that we've got a high churn rate due to limited perceived variety. The question I have for your team is, our meal delivery subscription for special diets has strong initial signups, but faces a churn problem as users feel the variety is insufficient. How can we redesign our customer acquisition and retention model by incorporating customizable menus, feedback-driven recipe additions, and subscriber-only perks like cooking webinars to keep users engaged and loyal? That's a good question. Before I pass you on to my experts, in general, in startup world, we learn that we need to go as niche as we possibly can, and literally just start with one product or feature that you think is the core of your USP, and then move either by drilling down or deleting that and adding another one. In this case, I see where your challenge is, and I think I would do a bit more research. But let's see what the growth panelists here got to say. So let's start with Dave, then Jorgen, then Visar, please.
Yeah, interesting question, Anton. And there's a couple of phrases in the question that are nibbling at me, if you like. The first one is that the question talks about a high churn rate due to limited perceived variety. Now, that suggests that there is variety. in the menus, but that variety isn't getting through to the users. The second thing that I want to pick up on, it says, how do we redesign our customer acquisition and retention model? Well, I wouldn't worry about acquisition at the moment. If the problem is that people are leaving the service, solve one problem at a time, right? Focus on the retention issue. And just looking again at the provided solutions to the problem, they talked about customizable menus, feedback-driven recipe additions, and subscriber-only perks like cooking webinars, right? Well, let's be realistic. Consumers tend to be lazy. So making them customize their own menus, making them go to cooking webinars, I don't think that's necessarily the easiest way to solve this problem. I think that the solution is in there already. It's literally a case of creating multiple different varieties, changing simple ingredients in particular recipes, maybe going from prawns to chicken in a curry, for example, and I'm being a little bit simplistic, but do the work for the end users, do the work for the consumers, give them the options, and go talk to them, right? Go ask them if you think that it's because of perceived variety, ask them what level of variety they want, what type of variety they want, and then do the work for them. Don't worry about technology like customizable menus. That's using tech for the sake of using tech. Solve one problem at a time, by talking to your customer base.
Thank you, Jörgen.
Yes, I think that this is a really interesting situation and a very interesting question as well, because I think that one of the common mistakes that founders do is that they don't involve the customers at an early stage. So what I would do is that I would do a loss analysis. I would look into and asking the customers specifically and try to divide them into different segments. Why are they churning? Because guessing is never a good place to be. You need to know. So I would start there with a bottom-up analysis to understand why did they take the offer and why did they leave you. Those questions you need to answer them very clearly. Otherwise, you will be starting guessing and probably you will invest money at the wrong place, I would say.
Thank you, Visar.
Not a huge amount to add. I think Dave and Jörgen covered it really well. One thing I would say is, as far as a tactical suggestion, I guess, would be lock yourself with your team or with people, your team or your advisors or someone like that in a room and drill really deep and really understand what problem you're solving. Take your time, like really get deep into the research and into figuring that out. And then after that, work it out whether you are solving it better than any of the competitors in the market. And if you're really genuinely doing these things, then you shouldn't have churn if you're solving a real problem. So I would sort of say that just to add to all the stuff that the guys have said, it's a really good exercise to lock yourself in a room with any distractions and really understand the two core things: who, what, why.
Some very good points. Mike, are you audible now? We've lost Mike completely. Okay. That's a strange one. Okay. Right here. Well, let's go to another question. This is an interesting one as well, I think. Okay, so she's based in Bangkok. Okay. Let me. Okay. It's in the chat. So for the team here, they can go through it in the chat room. We're a pre-seed SaaS startup in Birmingham offering digital inventory management tools for independent high street retailers. Very cool. Whilst early adopters have shown interest, breaking into areas outside major urban centres have proven difficult, as smaller towns rely on traditional non-digital processes. How can we develop a market penetration strategy that includes local business meetups, partnerships with regional chambers of commerce and targeted outreach to convince smaller retailers of the efficiency gains our solution provides. So based on this question, I might be wrong, and that's why it's good if you ask a question, it's good if you come and join us here live, because you'll have plenty of follow-ups, and the more follow-ups we have, the better the answers will be. But my view is that here, you don't want to go outside big towns simply because you want to get more business, but because you're probably struggling to get the smaller retailers in towns. Because if you're a startup and you're complaining that isn't enough small retailers in big towns, and there's something wrong there, because there should be more than enough business for you. But let's see what the team here, let me see first and foremost, I think we've got Mike back. Let's see if we can make Mike a presenter. Mike, are you audible now?
Yes, I can finally speak.
Whoa!
Finally. It's
Rock and
incredible.
roll.
Hey.
How you
It's a
doing?
miracle.
Right.
Cheers, Anton.
If you'd like to, I'll repeat the question, and then when your time comes to answer the question, please introduce yourself as well. But I'll repeat the question
Sure.
that was just asked. So we're a pre-seed SaaS startup in Birmingham offering digital inventory management tools for independent high street retailers. Whilst early adopters have shown interest, breaking into areas outside major urban centers has proven difficult, as smaller towns rely on traditional non-digital processes. How can we develop a market penetration strategy that includes local businesses, business meetups, partnerships with regional chambers of commerce, and targeted outreach to convince smaller retailers of the efficiency gains our solution provides? What I was saying, Mike, is that from what I can read on that question, is that I don't think you're actually struggling to get business outside of big towns, because if you're a startup and you're complaining that there aren't enough small retailers in big towns, and there's something wrong there. So maybe the question should be a little bit different. But I thought we would go through the panels and see what you've got to add here. So this time, since you joined last, Mike, please introduce yourself, then answer the question, and then if we can have the Sir, Jorgen, and Dave.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Anton. Great question. We love B2B SaaS startups. So my name is Mike. I've been in the tech industry for 30 years, used to work for Apple, HP, and Zoom, lots of big tech companies, small tech companies as well. And I'm now an angel investor in 22 startups. I'm always looking for cool startups to invest in. And I'm also a mentor for more than 50 different startup founders. So I'm always trying to help other founders. And my joy in life is to connect people. I'm a super connector with 30,000 connections. So my answer to nearly every question is introductions and referrals. And always try to get a warm introduction to your ideal customer or your ideal investor. And so right now, today, I'm running my own startup, which is called introstars.com, IntroStars, which is a platform for high-value introductions, for people to get introductions to their ideal customers, or for people to make introductions and actually get paid for it. So it's really helping everyone make and receive the best possible referrals and introductions. So that's a bit about me. To answer the question, the question kind of answers itself, because you said, how do I reach these small retailers outside of big cities? Should we go to local chambers of commerces or talk to local associations? That was part of the question. I mean, that's the answer to the question. Go to these networking events with local chambers of commerce, go to these industry associations, and try to get introductions to the people you're trying to reach. My other advice would be to focus a lot of your efforts on content marketing, meaning create content for your target customers, like guides for the top 10 tips for a local retailer to be successful, or top 5 strategies to be to get more clients coming through your door and stuff like that. So every time you create one of these little guides, which are like a short PDF or a video on TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn, you're obviously going to attract your target customer. So again, my recommendation is focus on content marketing, create all these cool guides and videos, post them on socials. That will attract your customers. Then ask for the people you know to open doors for you, ask for referrals and introductions, and then go to those local networking events in person, like the chambers of commerce and industry associations. And so I think that's the best strategy moving forward for you. And good luck. That's it.
Am I going next,
Go on.
Anton? Yeah.
I believe so. I think it's you, then Jorgen, then Dave.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's like reading the question. It sort of says early adopters have shown interest breaking into areas outside major urban centers has proven difficult. I think this is again, it's a question of focus. You know, you don't need to get every customer. You just need to get the right ones. And if you're successful in urban areas, then you know, stick to urban areas, I guess. And that, you know, that's see what works and then try and sort of replicate that. You know, that's always a good. I suppose that's always a good thing. You're not going to get every single retailer everywhere. You know, so just understanding who's buying your product, and then why, and then trying to replicate that success story. A good way to do that is also by running an online ad campaign. Is really, really cheap. You know, you can learn how to do it yourself, and you can get some really good insights by doing that as well. There's all sorts of guides and stuff online and teach you how to do that, or you can just hire someone to do it, I guess. And the other thing would be, this seems to be an adoption issue. So then it's a question of product. Like, how easy is it? How you know, do the people require training? You know, is it completely self-serve? Do you have all the right documentation which allows these smaller retailers in small towns to really adopt it and not worry that they're going to have to spend time to teach the staff how to use it? So, you know, it's a question of what is working at the moment. If it is in big cities and urban centers, try and replicate that in other areas, so that could give you plenty of business potentially. If you still want to expand to sort of smaller towns, then maybe it's a case of how, you know, is the product fit for these retailers to do that with ease, I guess. And then obviously, you know, how big of a problem are you solving and how do you communicate that in the best possible way? Good luck.
That's your.
It's me, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Interesting question. Yeah, I think that in my opinion, you shouldn't do it harder on yourself than it is, because this is a pre-seed company. I think that they don't even have proven their product market fit yet. So what I would focus on would be try to show that product market fit first, and then define your ICP. And I would say that this is typically an ICP case. You need to be very clear who are your targets, and try to define how are they solving this issue that you have a solution for today. And they also stipulated something about the digital maturity. So there is a lot of challenges here, but I would focus first on prove the product market fit, and then define your ICP, and then try to reach them. And in a pre-seed company, you just have to show that you have the product market fit. So I would focus on that, and don't try to win every customer.
Yeah, I think building on that, the ICP is the key thing here, right? And if you look at the characteristics that you typically focus on with an ICP, geography is only one of them. You know, the fact that they're an independent high street retailer, that's another one. But that level of digital maturity is a key characteristic here. Look, you're an early stage B2B SaaS company. You're not a digital transformation company. And selling digital transformation and marketing it, I've been doing it for 20 years. It's incredibly difficult. You've got to educate, you've got to plant seeds, you've got to nurture companies to do that. Go find the ones that are already there. And it won't just be that rural retailers are less digitally savvy than, you know, urban ones. There'll be a mix. So, you know, introduce that level of digital savviness, that level of digital transformation that's already happened into your ICP planning, into your segmentation, and then go to market to that group that, you know, that has that characteristic already.
That's some great stuff from all four of you, and I really appreciate that. Okie dokie, we've got 20 minutes to go. I can see there's a few on the live streams, but again, please remember, unfortunately, we are unable to monitor your questions there live anyway. So what you'll have to do, if you do want to ask our brilliant team, that is to jump on our Microsoft Teams call. It's an audio-only call, and we do this on purpose so that people can join, whether you're cooking lunch in Glasgow, changing nappies in Liverpool, or walking your dog in Surrey, or whatever else you may be doing. This should be an easy take, because with Teams, you can join flexibly via any platform or device for that matter. And being audio only, it means that you can carry on with your day too. We're here to help founders grow your business, because you see, I'm one of those people that believes that until you get a sale, you've got nothing there. That's one. And two, that sales kills everything. So it's about being able to sell enough of your product or service in order to be able to say you've got a business that is running. Hopefully we'll be able to help you with any question you may have on growth, whether it's user, vendor, partner, client acquisition, growth hacks, go-to-market, sales, marketing, advertising, or branding for that matter. All you have to do, if you do make it to our Teams call, is to drop your question in the chat, and then we'll give you the mic. How to get here? There's links on all of the live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. And if those don't work, simply go to our site, startuptoscaleup.club. Look for today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 143. Click join, quick registration. That gets you a link to your email, and you can join us via that email. As for the team here, you may want to drop your LinkedIn URLs in the chat, because you see, we've had about 280,000 people join us in 4 years now, and none of that would have happened without yourselves. So the least people can do is show some love and follow you, especially those that will see the recording of this. But on the other hand, also do remember, please, that these amazing individuals join us for free here so that they don't have to keep doing free stuff after. So bear that in mind. And by the way, if your questions today are not on growth, save them for the other conversations we run. Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising. Second Friday of the month, it's UK Startup Law, and third Friday of the month, it's UK Startup Finances. And when you go to our website, actually, why not join our WhatsApp community? There's an icon, a WhatsApp icon there, top and bottom of the website, where you'll be able to join groups of fellow founders, investors, and operators, and hopefully get into some good discussions. Now, we've got another question that was sent in. As a pre-seed tech startup in Derby, we've developed an interactive tutoring app for GCSE students who struggle with maths. Whilst our platform offers unique gamified learning features, our digital advertising campaigns have failed to connect with parents of underperforming students. How can we create ads that appeal directly to this audience, emphasizing measurable improvements in grades? And what offline channels, such as school partnerships, might help reinforce our online campaigns? Since you've put your head above water on online campaigns earlier this year, since you've only managed to sell a company for, what was it, 11 mil? An advertising company. So you might want to go first on that. Then if we can please have Dave, Jorgen, and Mike. What are your thoughts on this?
Sure. Great. I mean, EdTech, massive.
Sorry, can you clarify for us again how much you sold Waste Creative, please, Visar?
Oh, yeah, it was 10 million pounds for the total consideration. It was in dollars, but it works out to about that in pounds. Yeah, marketing.
Good stuff.
Marketing.
Thank you. Go ahead, buddy.
So in terms, I mean, EdTech, obviously a huge fan. Massive opportunity for disruption, and gamified learning is obviously something I'm personally massively interested in. So this is incredibly cool to see that the startups are being born in this space, and so I really genuinely wish you the best of luck. In terms of advertising for this, I think it's quite interesting. So your target demographic is quite simple: GCSE students. Beautiful. It's rarely as simple as that, actually. But then you need to start defining and you start being a little bit more precise as to which GCSE students would be more interested in this. So are there specific areas in the country that maybe struggle with this? And then trying to be a bit more targeted with your advertising in those particular areas. Then the other bit would be like, who are you advertising to? Even though the target demographic is GCSE students, but who cares about this? Is it just the students themselves, or maybe their parents? And then it's a case of the platforms where they hang out. So obviously, if it's GCSE students, it's more likely that they're going to be on TikTok than Facebook or LinkedIn. And then it's a case of sort of understanding what kind of advertising works better in TikTok versus what kind of advertising works better in Facebook and other platforms. So developing a specific channel strategy and a plan as to how you're going to actually do the ads for those particular platforms, so they can get reached, but also that they relate, so people will actually interact with them. For example, TikTok, it needs to be, if you do high production value or things that look like ads, they're not going to perform well, versus maybe Facebook could be different. So it's a case of really sort of drilling deep into who are you, well, you know who you're advertising to, but then who, more specifically, who and where, and then what kind of platforms, where do they hang out? What is the right way to advertise in those particular platforms? And then basically, do you have any data how gamified learning actually improves performance? And then can you guarantee that, or can you give any kind of data around like how your platform is going to improve them by a certain percentage? Now you take all of this research, all of this work, all of these insights, and then you start thinking about how do you turn these into ads that resonate with human beings, with students, with their parents, and into really simple one-line, in really simple, like sort of succinct ads. And then you test the hell out of it. So then basically you try and do as much A/B testing as possible, since it's kind of like spray and pray with a lot of insights baked in the background, so you're not wasting money. And then basically try and zone in, but you do need to basically test the hell out of it before you can see what works. A few more nuggets as well. Look at, there's this new breed of serial entrepreneurs, the likes of Alex Hormozi and what was the other guy? Daniel Presley. They built their whole sort of business empire with ads, by having a particular approach to how they test businesses before they even launch them, and it's all based around how they run ad campaigns. So I would definitely look at them. There's a ton of really useful content that can help you do this yourself, and I would strongly recommend that you learn how to do this yourself. Work with professionals as well to maybe fast track, but you inherently need to understand how this stuff works, because it's going to be important for your business. And yeah, I think that's it. And then actually one more thing, sometimes you have to think about outside of digital as well. Is there a different way to reach these people? If it's in particular areas, leaflets, I don't know, whatever sort of works, maybe like a billboard in front of a school that performed in the worst possible way. That might even draw like sort of some attention from PR, so you could get some organic reach. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's great business. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope some of these suggestions will help you out.
Wow, well, that was pretty much a textbook answer from Vissa. So I've got not a lot to add to that. The one interesting thing here that jumps out at me, though, and Vissa talked about it with regards to the audience. One of the challenges you've got here, I think, is that the user is different to the buyer, right? So the user will be the child. The purchaser and the person that's going to make the decision about buying this will be the parent. So getting your messaging right when you're doing the ads is critical here, right? Because unique gamification features honestly aren't that interesting to the parent. What they're interested in is what it's going to do to the grades. So if you're trying to sell the solution, then you need to focus on what's in it for the parent. If you're trying to get adoption, once the thing is moving, then you need to focus on, you know, the gamified features. So understanding who you're talking to and getting that messaging crisp and clear for those slightly nuanced audiences is going to be critical.
Yeah. Jorgen?
Yes, very impressive answers. I think that they really ironed it out here. I think that this is a marketing-led approach. And it's always difficult when you start by doing ads. There's a few pieces, of course, missing here in the information that is necessary to take into account. But why don't you switch that to a sales-led approach, meaning that you target schools directly? And as I said previously here on the call as well, you need to understand the user and the buyer, obviously. That was a really good statement. But make them try your product at an early stage, because that is how you build stickiness. When you have started to using the product, you probably won't stop. So, but in my opinion, why don't you start targeting schools and try to be open about that you are a startup and we are trying to help with your purpose, help children who has difficulties in school, and we have probably a way of doing that in a very simple way, and start with that. And when you have reached that level, you have an agreement with the school perhaps, and then you can move from there. So I would think about doing this as a sales-led approach also, because you will gain a lot of very important insights from that customer base.
Thank you very much, Jorgen. That's a very good point. Although, in my experience, it's extremely difficult to sell to schools directly, and they can be really tricky in terms of them suggesting products or services to their pupils. But you're absolutely right. If they can find a salesperson that knows how to navigate this, then I think there might be something there. But otherwise, having been involved in a couple of businesses in the past that involved selling to schools, it was a freaking nightmare. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm all about partnerships. So I would try to partner with math teachers, not for the math teachers to buy the product, but to recommend it to their students who are struggling. And so in the UK, there's 3 associations of math teachers. And I would recommend you reach out to them, see if you can build a partnership, either advertise with them or for them to recommend you. There's one math partnership called NCETM, which is a National Center for Excellence for the Teachers of Mathematics. There's another one called ATM, which is the Association of Teachers of Mathematics. There's a third one called AMET, AEMET, which is the Voice of Mathematics Education Teachers. So those 3 associations basically regroup all the math teachers in the UK. So I would reach out to all 3 of them, see if there's a way you can partner with them to offer like free trials, do a free webinar, etc., where they can promote your product to all the math teachers for them to then recommend to the students and parents. I think that would be the way forward.
Wow, this has been absolute gold. The only thing I would add here, and this is just chiming on some of the stuff that the chaps here have mentioned, this is a 2-front approach, i.e. Perhaps Snapchat or some other form of adverts to actually get the kids hooked into this, and then something like Facebook or even LinkedIn to get the parents involved. But the idea here, I think, goes a little bit deeper. You've got to think, and this takes me back to what Sarah said at the very beginning. You've got to think really hard about how you go to market with that ad campaign, because you see, in my view, my first kind of thought would be, hang on, you want to go to the people that, for whatever reason, either can't afford or don't want to, or whatever it is, pay a maths tutor. In London, they go to around £40 per hour. absolute minimum would be 20 something per hour. So you're in Derby, wasn't it? So what you want to do is you want to go to the people that already know that they need to work on their children's math skills. They've already tried something, and for whatever reason that hasn't worked, whether it's the cost or the model or whatever it is. How do you find that? I would perhaps look at reviews. I would also look at things like Mumsnet and all these kind of, what was it, Nextdoor or whatever it is. Some of these apps are. And two, to test these things, I would actually find a way to register in the regions you want to test this, to register on Google Maps so that you show up. Because as my mother's a maths teacher, she's now retired, and she does some tutoring on top of her day, basically. And it seems most people tend to go twofold: personal recommendations, of course, and the second one seems to be simple Google searches. They search, who have I got nearby, so that tutor can come to my children's house, because I haven't got time to go back and forth chauffeuring my children. That seems to be at the moment quite hot. Right, we've only got 3 minutes to go, so unfortunately I haven't got time for more questions, but hopefully you can join us next time. Now, let's get about a minute each, some parting words, so we can start with Mike, Jorgen, Dave, and Visar, please. Your 1 minute of glory starts now.
My recommendation is to focus all your time and energy on going to in-person networking events if you can, to build your network. And every time you meet someone, ask them what introductions you can make for them. And in return, they'll be happy to make introductions for you and introduce you to your ideal customers, prospects, business partners, and investors. So I really am a strong believer in business introductions, referrals, sending introductions to each other, and then partnerships. If you're trying to sell to any kind of clients, always look at potential partnership opportunities, meaning other companies selling to a similar target audience, or maybe member associations of those target clients, and build partnerships where you give them free value, either your product for free, or give them content marketing, best practice ideas, and in return you get access to an audience, right? So it's kind of we help each other, we scratch each other's back. And so yeah, focus your energy on referrals, introductions, content marketing, create some value, post some cool videos on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and then and Bob's your uncle. You'll be successful and happy, and the world will be a better place. So those will be my parting words.
You're good.
Yes, I think that, like I said in the early meeting here, I think that it's really important to be customer centric. Try to focus on your hero customer and make them really happy with your product. And it's not more complicated than that. When you have your hero customers, it's time to scale your business and be very through roughly when you target your ICP. You define your ICP and you target that ICP only with your MVP. Otherwise, you will very soon get into trouble. So that is what I will focus on. Try to hear out your customer. Why do they choose your product? You need to know that in a very detailed way, because that is what you then translate to why should you buy your product. So that is where I would focus my efforts in an early stage startup.
Thank you very much, Jorgen. Dave.
All right, I think one of the things that we forget about sometimes is how easy it is when you're running a startup to just get completely engrossed in doing things, in executing tactics. And I think it's important every so often, maybe every 6 months, to step back out and just ensure that you've got a clear vision of your strategy. Because quite frankly, strategy trumps tactics any day of the week, right? Get your strategy right. Make sure that you understand who you are, what you do, who you sell to, what you're selling, what your value propositions are. Define that positioning, that messaging, that go-to-market. But then once you've got that down, go and execute, because quite frankly, strategy is nothing without execution. But take the time every so often just to step out of the day-to-day to ensure that your strategy is still aligned, it's still working, and then go execute the hell out of it.
Here, thanks, Dave. Last but not least, the sir, please.
Yes, some really great suggestions. Really great suggestions. I would sort of just add to that by saying read books, and read books around I guess understanding the human behavior, psychology, growth, and no excuses. Like you need to read books. I don't think I've met a single very successful person in my peers or mentors that doesn't read all the time, and a favorite thing is to actually share notes and recommend books to each other. I can't recommend that enough, because it helps you to understand yourself as a leader, but it also helps you understand other humans, and that's the two pieces of that puzzle. It's you trying to do something and solve a problem. It's a lot of people that have problems, and you employ people. So reading as much as possible is great to add a little addition on top of all the great suggestions.
Thank you very much for that. Vasar, what book should people read in terms of growing your business? What is one recommendation?
Thinking Fast and Slow. I'll start from that.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Thinking Fast and Slow.
That's it. And okay, that's a good one. Thank you very much for that.
It's a must. I mean, they should make that compulsory, actually. Yeah.
That's a good one. That is a very good one. Thank you very much for that to all four of you. We are now 2 minutes over the line, so my apologies, panel. However, this has been a brilliant Startup Growth Q&A. It was our 143rd session. We run 6 regular sessions: Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of each month UK startup law, and third Friday of each month UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup2scaleup.club. When you're there, you may also want to join our WhatsApp community of groups of founders, investors, and operators. And for those of you that tuned in via the live streams, please remember we're unable to monitor your questions there live. So next time you want to join us here on Microsoft Teams, it's audio only and quite easy to join. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both difficult but also quite exciting. So try to have some fun in the meantime, and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, we'll hear from you tomorrow, hopefully, which is Startup Fundraising Q&A. And quite aptly, I will be at the British VC Association. They've got an amazing summit called Accelerate tomorrow, and it's very likely that's where I'll be doing the Q&A from tomorrow. So thanks again to my amazing panel, and huge thanks to everyone else. Have a great afternoon, and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now.